Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Earlier today, I mentioned that the Greens, who were, they're very angry about losing the commitment to climate change, thanks to the SNP pulling that particular rule. But they are heartened because they have announced another new plan that is bound to be really, really popular. What they want to do is introduce road use charges. Despite the fact that there's already, charges for using the road in the forms of, road tax and the tax on petrol. They want to introduce another tax. So you pay tax on your earnings, and with that taxed earnings, you buy a car. With that car, you pay tax when you buy it. You then pay tax to run the car. Then every time you fill it up, you pay more tax on the petrol. And now they're saying that, you've got to pay a road usage tax over and above the road tax. And then if you go into a particular city centre, you've got to pay even more tax. And the whole thing, of course, is designed to get you out of your cars so that you can live in your 15-minute ghettos. That's the plan. The sooner the Greens are taken out, the better. Any political party that says they're not going to do this is going to do very, very well. But how do you explain this to the people of Scotland who live outside of the central belt, where, you need a car? Buses are very few and far between, taxis are expensive, and for a lot of people, cars are the only way around, particularly the vulnerable, the elderly or the infirm. It's another mad idea by the Greens that needs to be rejected at a very early stage. Let's have a look. Whoop, too far. There we go. SNP Greens, don't know what happened there. SNP Greens draw up plans to help councils charge road users after climate U-turn. Here's the thing, when you get tax on petrol, the more you use the road, the more you pay. There's already a usage tax in terms of paying fuel duty. That's over and above, of course, your actual car tax that you pay each year. How much tax do they think the people of Scotland have got? They want to tax everyone into poverty and allow no one the right to move. It's madness. Local councils will be supported to introduce road user charging schemes to help shift people onto public transport to ramp up Scotland's stalling climate progress. Now, if you live in the centre of London, public transport is excellent. It truly is. I know people who live in London who literally do not own a car. They do not need one. Everything they need to do is reachable by predominantly tube or bus and occasionally the odd taxi. But that's it. If you live in the middle of nowhere, you've got no chance. You get 2 buses a week, assuming they even turn up. And now they want you to live your life in your little 15-minute ghettos because they don't like cars, because cars are damaging. Scotland produces such a tiny, tiny amount of the world's pollution, and they want to even take that away. Meanwhile, they'll do nothing about China or India. Isn't it stunning? These people, they need to be voted out. They are absolutely dangerous. And once you take transport away from the masses, it destroys economies. Totally destroys them. I can't get over how dumb this is. Anyway, SNP and Green ministers are drawing up plans to allow councils to potentially charge motorists for using roads as part of a new package of climate action measures. If they're charging you for using the road, do you get your tax back on your fuel or you get your tax back on your road fund licence? It's got to be one of them. You can't be charged twice for the same thing, surely. This was part of a new package of climate action measures after ditching the landmark legal target. So that got dumped yesterday and said, we need to do something, let's do this. And you can guarantee they've thought this one through in the 8 hours or whatever they've had. The Scottish Government confirmed it is scrapping the 2030 target to cut emissions by 75% after admitting it is a load of old bollocks. Net Zero Secretary and moron and current squeeze of the leader, Mary McCallan, has faced severe criticism for watering down Scotland's legal climate targets, as have her government partners, the Scottish Greens. My God, look at Jeffrey. She is not looking impressed at all, is she? She is not a happy woman, but then she never was. She's a Green. They're always miserable, aren't they? If you had to go around life, eating tofu all day and, carefully avoiding everything that casts a shadow. Anyway, Friends of the Earth Scotland has branded the U-turn the worst environmental decision in the history of the Scottish Parliament. Oh, I don't know. I can think of worse. Alongside the confirmation that the Climate Change Act will be amended, Mr McAllen announced 19 new policies in conjunction with the Greens that ministers will hope kickstart more action to cut emissions, although nobody knows why, because it'll make no difference to the world, but it will destroy everything in Scotland and make you all poverty-ridden. Economies destroyed, no transport infrastructure, firms pulling out, everything. A vast industrial wasteland with nothing moving except rats. The Scottish Government has long committed to cutting car kilometres by 20% by 2030, but has faced criticism for failing to bring forward a plan. But one of the key measures announced by Ms McAllen is to publish a route map by the autumn of this year on how that key pledge will be achieved. The document will include a timeline for implementing demand management, whatever that means, and considering of how local government action can further incentivise the switch to electric vehicles. They're pushing electric vehicles. Meanwhile, everyone in the world and their dog is getting out of the electric vehicle market. Every manufacturer, with one exception, Tesla, the only one. Every other electric car maker is pulling back on electric cars because they realise the problems they've got with them. They realise they can't sell them because the resale value after they literally lose so much money so quickly. They're virtually worthless after about 3 years. And then they're also looking at the vast ecological damage is caused by creating all the lithium mines and whatever to try and power these things. It's an even worse environmental disaster than running fuel, normal fuel. And on top of which, still to this day, no one has worked out what are we going to do with all the petrol. This is what happens when you allow morons at controlling interest, isn't it? Anyway, the Scotsman understands that this switch to electric vehicles could include empowering local authorities to have the ability to introduce road user charging or congestion charges as part of a strategy to encourage motorists onto public transport, but they will not be supplying public transport. Also, when will the bus turn up right outside your house to take you exactly to the door at work at that time in the morning? If you're on a shift work and you need to leave the house at, say, 5 a.m, how are you getting to work? Where's the bus? Ring up and complain. Sorry, boss, can't come in. I've been driven out of my car, and so I have to use public transport, but the bus doesn't run at 5 a.m. Well, you haven't got a job then. No, I didn't think so. That's fine. I got on the dole. And so will everyone else. Stop voting in morons. Coming up. It must be hard being Jeffrey. Every idea you have fails. Every single one. And now they're doing this push to electric cars. Like I say, that everyone in the market now is getting out of electric cars because nobody's buying them because of the problems with them. They've also massively run into something that they never thought would be an issue. And it's already starting to affect this country. We've got so many electric cars now that the grid is having brownouts in some areas. Likes of Surrey, where there's all these rich people who can buy all these electric cars. And they're all coming home and they're getting home 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. They're all plugging them in and they're already noticing the big drawdown and they haven't got the facility yet to upgrade the grid to handle it. So they're already starting to notice this. And how much do you think it's going to cost to upgrade the grid so that everybody can have an electric car? Oh, and you haven't even worked out, this is just the cars now. Never mind making all the houses electric. Well, about £100 billion to upgrade the grid just to handle cars. You probably have to do it again when every house is electric. Oh, and you haven't built the 38 nuclear power stations you're going to need. Geniuses in action. Aren't they wonderful to behold? I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do keep an eye out for the next video because the next one is the last one of the day. But until then, stay still, stay safe, and stay still. Lead a sedentary life. Stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.